Recently, one of my friends recommended Hazbin Hotel to me, and I thought I would make a review of it just to get my thoughts out on it. So first of all, if you're looking for a recommendation, I would say yes, go ahead and watch this show. It's only 8 episodes. You can watch it in about one afternoon, and it's got some really good characters and some really good songs. But it's not flawless. It's not great. I would honestly just go far as to say it's good. I'm going to structure this review with talking about what I like, and then I'm going to move on to the stuff I don't like, and then I'm just going to go on to any overall thoughts and opinions I might have developed while watching the show. So if you wanted a recommendation, there you go. If you're looking for more in-depth explanation about what I liked about it and the problems I had with it, then feel free to continue watching. So let's start off with the characters. I think there are a few pretty exceptional standouts in the cast entirely. Adam is a great villain for the show. He is an antithesis to Charlie, being an angel who is just a jackass. He's just the kind of villain that you love to hate, and his Hell is Forever song actually made me want to keep watching the show after the first episode. Another great standout is Alistair. No, not that one. Not that one either. That one. There you go. Fantastic, chaotic, neutral, all over the place character with his weird random bullshit. I think he's just great. And weirdly enough, I actually didn't make the Wendigo connection with him the first time I was watching it until it was pointed out during a YouTube video I was watching the other day. So that was kind of cool. I like the effect on his voice. I like his random chaotic nature. Another great standout is Carmilla. She's got 2 great songs, a great character design, and her personality is really interesting, and I kind of hope we get to see more of her in the future. Then a final standout character I want to talk about is Serpentius. He is great. I love him. Darling little boy. And I'm so happy that he's the one who gets redeemed at the end. Then we have a lot of really standout songs. It's a musical, so obviously there's going to be a lot of different songs in it that cover a lot of different genres, and not all of them are my personal cup of tea. Like I said, I like Hell is Forever. I also liked Respectless. Pretty much any song with Alistair singing in it was really good. They really cooked with a lot of these, and I think they did a fantastic job with them. But I wish they had some that were a bit longer. Like Carmilla's Out for Love song is only like a minute long. I really wish we had a fuller version of that. I think that would have been really good. Yeah, that's pretty much the big core standout things I liked about it. I think there's a lot of great character designs too, even for like characters that I don't really care too much about. Beyond that though, we should probably address the negatives in the room. There's 3 big negatives here that I want to talk about. The first is the wild pacing issues. The second is going to be the strange double standard with the way it treats SA, I think would be the appropriate phrasing here. And then the third will be the major fucking plot hole in the story. But let's talk about the pacing issues first. Obviously, this is going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse because 99% of the criticism I've seen leveled at the show is about the pacing. But so often, it is like just so out of nowhere with some of this stuff. You'll have Charlie's daddy issues being introduced 1 minute, then you'll meet Lucifer, they'll resolve the daddy issues problem within 10 minutes, and that'll be it. They really just needed to slow down. Like, the entire premise of the show is making a hotel to redeem sinners so they can get to heaven, and now we have like a deadline put on it for another extermination in 6 months. We blow through 6 months and 8 episodes with no real knowledge of the time passing, no real showing of character growth, and it is just insanely fast. Like, they really should have slowed it down a lot. You either needed double the episodes or double the length of the episodes. Personally, I feel like the extermination shouldn't even have been the end of season 1. I feel like it should have been the court scene. Like, I feel like they should have led up to the court scene where Charlie's fighting against getting an extermination because she thinks she can purify souls with redemption. She gets to the court, she pleads her case, and then they still say no, and then the second season could lead into the extermination and shit, because it would give you a reason to want to keep watching beyond, like, okay, well, what's going to happen now? Like, oh, this major plot twist with Lilith being revealed at the end of the last episode, where we've had no real build-up beyond just knowing she's gone missing, apparently. It's just so fast. So much of the show feels like it's just moving at a breakneck pace and not giving the characters room to breathe. Vaggie goes through like 3 different character arcs and still feels like the exact same character at the end of the season. Calm down, please. Give your character some time to breathe. Before we move on to the second issue, I'm going to throw up a real quick content warning. I know that SA can be a tough topic for some people, and I don't want to have anyone watching this if they don't feel comfortable with it. So if you want to continue with the videos, please skip forward to this time on screen right now. And if you're okay with continuing with this section, then let's continue. Angel Dust is a character who is basically sold into being an intern, for lack of a better phrasing, for a guy who is named Valentino, who basically acts as his pimp, forcing him into movies and stuff. And it's very aggressive, very violent, and he has an entire song about how that shows just him being assaulted, more or less. And it's very graphic, it's very horrible, and they play it completely straight, right? Like, they give it the respect it needs, they show it as the traumatic experience that it is, but then they have Angel Dust sexually harassing Husk. It's not like they don't know that's what they're doing, because they actively make a reference to him doing it. They call it that in the show. Yes, I understand that in the real world there is a certain group of people who, once they go through a traumatic experience like that, become overly excited and try to constantly be doing stuff to regain their... God, trying to say this like what fucking... I'm on PBS or TBS. They constantly keep trying to do stuff to regain the power they lost during the assault. And yes, there is a real world counterpart for it. But when you're doing that kind of storyline in a TV show or a cartoon or something, it comes across as wildly tone deaf, because it really feels like you're saying that harassment isn't as bad as like this other thing, when both of them are traumatic experiences and shouldn't have to be experienced by anybody. And if you're not going to pay both of them with the same respect, you probably shouldn't use one as a joke or be touching the subject at all, honestly. And that's not even talking about Sir Pentious in the episode where they go to the club, where he chickens out of asking Cherry Bomb to sleep with him by saying he's going to sleep with everybody in the club, and then is forcibly drugged into a room by a bunch of men, and it's played as a joke. I'm not gonna lie, it's a funny joke in the moment of the scene, but then it's immediately undercut because the very next scene is Angel confronting Valentino at the bar and standing up to his abuser. So it's, once again, it just comes across as horrifically tone deaf and just an awful kind of thing to see, because 1 second you're playing as a joke and the next second you're making it completely straight. You're showing it for what it is, and you're showing how it affects the victims and whatnot. You can't have it both ways in something like this. You can't have it as a joke and be serious at the same time, because it's just, like I said, horrifically tone deaf and a slap in the face to like anyone who's gone through situations like this, where one element of it is being played completely straight and the other is not. But I don't really want to harp on this too much. I'm not the only person who said this. There are people who have said it with a little bit more elegance than I have on the internet. Let's move on to the next point. So the final negative is a giant fucking plot hole that I noticed. So in preparation for the extermination, they go to Carmilla for weapons. She meets Vaggie, and I believe at this point it's been confirmed that Vaggie is an angel. Yes, because this was after the court's room scene. So it's confirmed that Vaggie is an angel. We now know that to be a fact. And Carmilla straight up says, "Before you met me, did you know angels could be hurt?" And Vaggie says no, despite the fact that she had her eye gouged out, her wings torn off, and was left for dead by Adam and Loot. Then when Carmilla says the weapons to hurt angels are used by angelics, or simply just angelic steel, it doesn't make any sense, because she says that angelic steel isn't common, and those that have it aren't willing to go rushing out and using it against exorcists, which doesn't make any fucking sense at all, because we're shown that demons just fight and kill on a day-to-day basis. Honestly, the entire thing with The Exorcist doesn't make a lot of sense, because again, angels kill demons, yes, but demons also kill each other, so it doesn't make any sense they wouldn't fight back. And if Carmilla is selling angel steel weapons, then she would have most likely known that they could have, or found out at some point they could have hurt angels. Or someone would have, because someone would have turned a weapon against a fucking angel to defend itself. This entire plot point is so poorly handled, and the worst part of it is, all you needed to do to fix it would be to change, like, a few smaller things, right? I understand, I watched the pilot after I watched the show, because I was told by one of my friends that the pilot was considered canon still. So I watched the pilot. In the pilot, it's very much shown that Vaggie isn't an angel yet. So I think this point was made before the change for her being an angel, but it doesn't excuse the plot hole in the first place. The best way you could have fixed this plot hole is to simply just have the demons fighting back against the exterminations for a while now, but instead of this just being a random faceless angel getting killed, this is a captain, a general, a commander, something like that. Someone that would be a bigwig in the army, right? And then you have the reason why they want to keep pushing the exterminations is because they think the demons are getting too powerful, and they think that they need to start wiping out more and more demons, because now that they are able to take down their commanders, that's an issue. So you could have gotten rid of the entire thing with nobody knowing about angelic steel except Carmilla. And this plot hole is so frustrating to think about, because I get angry whenever I think of plot holes, because they're very obnoxious, and once you notice them, you can't look away from them, or because they destroy shit. And I don't like how people throw around the phrase plot hole anymore, because so often plot hole just refers to an unanswered question. This is a legitimate plot hole that needs to be addressed somehow, because it just breaks everything. It breaks the entire plot. Carmilla is out there selling angel steel weapons. She claims that it's not an abundant resource, but she makes an entire trading empire off of selling these weapons, to the point where she's an overlord. And no one in the history of all of these thousands or millions or however many years of exterminations has decided to just turn one of the weapons against an angel. And this is the first time ever that an angel's been killed in a violent culture of demons that constantly kill and attack each other. It doesn't make any fucking sense at all. It's giving me a fucking headache. Alright, let's move on then. Before we end this video, I don't want to end it on a downer note or anything like that, so I want to take a second to just go over some thoughts and stuff I had about the show. These are miscellaneous, not really relating to the review or anything like that, but my first thought is that Alistair either has the biggest balls of any man who has ever lived in the history of humanity, or actually has whatever deal he has is holding back his power. Because he fully went into that fight with Adam expecting to win. He went in there with the biggest ego ever. Adam got a cheap shot off on him, and he fucking backed down real quick. So I think that something in his deal is holding back his powers, because he fully expected to win, and his little song at the end kind of confirms that for me in my head. Second thing is, I've heard the fan theory about Vox having a crush on Alistair and it not being reciprocated, since Alistair is the Arrow Ace character, and I feel like that would be a fantastically hilarious twist if they were to do it like that. I don't know, because apparently behind the scenes, Viv C. Pop has been kind of really confrontational about confirming whether or not he's Arrow Ace, because she doesn't want to make shippers angry, which is, as a creative myself, not a stance I agree with at all. That's actually, legitimately stupid in my opinion, but that's a topic for another time. And my final thought in just relation to this series is that this whole first season laid a pretty fantastic groundwork for a series to build off of. I could legitimately see this getting a lot better with each season if she actually takes the criticism into account that she's been getting from various sources. Admittedly, it's been reported that season 2 has already entered production, so we might not be seeing any fixes to the complaints that people have been raising in the second season, but who knows, maybe it was just a bit of a sloppy start. Maybe she didn't find out she was getting a second season until a bit later, so she just kind of rushed in to get these plot points done. I don't know. I just hope that this series can pick up and move on and become better, because I honestly could see this being a great show if they were to take the criticism in stride and move on with it. But despite the gripes that I have with this show, like I said, you could honestly just watch it in the afternoon. It's still pretty decent. It's got some great songs, some great characters, enough stuff going on that'll distract you from the problems as long as you don't really think too hard on it. And I would recommend watching it, I'm not gonna lie. Once season 2 finally drops, I'll check it out. And I'll probably wind up checking out Hell of a Boss too, because I've been told by a couple friends to watch that. So maybe in the future we'll get started on that. This might even just become an entire series where I just review random stuff online. With that said, I'll see you guys in the next video.